The Ghost of Agaga Village. Long ago, in the quiet town of Agaga, nestled in the heart of Nigeria, something strange began to happen. People were afraid to go out at night, and even during the day, they whispered nervously about a ghost that wandered the streets. The ghost was said to appear in the market at the village square and even in people's homes. Pots would fall, doors would slam, and strange cries could be heard in the wind. But what was most peculiar about this ghost was that it only haunted the adults. The children were mostly ignored by the spirit, except for one little girl named Abina. Abina was only 10 years old. She was small, with curious brown eyes and a boldness that sometimes got her into trouble. But what made Abina different from everyone else in Agaga was that she could see and talk to the ghost. The ghost wasn't as terrifying as everyone thought. To Abina, it looked like a tired old man with a kind face, though sadness lingered in his eyes. The ghost introduced himself as Musa. He explained that he used to live in Agaga before something terrible happened to him. One evening, as the town gathered in the village square to discuss the haunting, Abina tugged at her mother's wrapper. "I know who the ghost is," Abina whispered. Her mother laughed nervously. "Don't be silly, Abina. Children shouldn't meddle in such matters." But Abina wouldn't stop. She told anyone who would listen that Musa was a ghost haunting the town. She even claimed to have spoken to him. Of course, no one believed her. Before Musa became a ghost, he had been a poor man, known for his hard work and gentle nature. He sold roasted corn by the roadside and barely made enough money to survive. The villagers pitied him, but no one helped. One person, however, always seemed kind to him: Pastor Ko. Pastor Ko was the leader of the biggest church in Agaga. He was a tall man with a booming voice that made people believe every word he said. The pastor often prayed for Musa, asking God to bless him with wealth. "Your breakthrough is coming," Pastor Ko would say. "Keep the faith, my brother." One day, Musa's life changed. He bought a lottery ticket, and to his amazement, he won. The prize was so big that it could change his life forever. Excited, Musa went straight to Pastor Ko's house to share the good news. "Pastor, God has answered your prayers. I won the lottery," Musa exclaimed, showing him the ticket. But instead of being happy for him, something dark stirred in Pastor Ko's heart: jealousy. He couldn't understand why a poor, struggling man like Musa should be so lucky while he, a man of God, had to work hard for his blessings. The pastor smiled, though hiding his thoughts. "Congratulations, Musa," he said. "Let us pray for your safety and guidance as you claim your prize." That night, Pastor Ko did something unthinkable. He followed Musa on a lonely path and eliminated him. He buried Musa's body in a shallow grave in the forest and took the lottery ticket. The next Sunday, Pastor Ko announced in church that he had received a huge donation from an anonymous benefactor. The congregation cheered and praised God, never suspecting the truth. With the stolen money, the pastor began living a life of luxury, but he wasn't done yet. Not long after, strange things started happening in Agaga. That doors banged shut by themselves, shadows flickered in empty rooms, and people heard loud whispers at night. The villagers believed it was the ghost of someone who had been wronged. Desperate for help, they turned to Pastor Ko. "This is the work of the devil," he declared. "Bring your offerings, and I will pray to cast out this evil spirit." The people, trusting their pastor, gave him money and gifts. But no matter how much they paid, the haunting didn't stop. What the villagers didn't know was that Pastor Ko had joined a secret cult, using dark magic. He and his cult members had trapped the ghost of Musa, preventing him from taking revenge. One day, Musa appeared to Abina again. This time, he was more desperate than ever. "Abina," he said, "I need your help. I can't rest until I take revenge on the man who killed me. But something is stopping me." Abina thought for a moment. "Who killed you, Musa?" The ghost hesitated before whispering. It was Pastor Ko. Abina gasped. "The pastor? But he's the one praying to make you go away." Musa nodded sadly. That's because he's the one who took my life, and he's blocking me from getting justice. Abina's heart pounded. She knew no one would believe her if she told them the pastor was behind everything. But she had to find a way to prove it. Abina came up with a plan. She decided to gather evidence against the pastor and expose him. But how could a 10-year-old girl outsmart a powerful man with dark secrets?
Abina couldn't sleep that night. She tossed and turned, thinking about how to expose Pastor Ko. Finally, she decided to talk to Musa again. The next evening, Abina sneaked out of her house and went to the old mango tree where Musa often appeared to her. She whispered, "Musa, are you here?" A soft glow appeared, and the ghost emerged from the shadows. "Bina, thank you for coming. Did you think of a way to help me?" Musa asked, his voice echoing softly like the wind. Bina nodded. "I'll find proof that Pastor Ko killed you. But first you have to tell me everything. Everything that happened that night." Musa sighed. "It was after I won the lottery. I was so happy, Abina. I trusted him, but he followed me and..." The ghost paused, his voice shaking. "He eliminated me from behind. I didn't even see it coming. He buried me in the forest, near the big Irako tree." Abina's eyes widened. "The big Irako tree. That's where people say strange things happen." The ghost nodded. "That's where my body is. If you can show the villagers my remains, they'll have to believe you." Abina's investigation. The next morning, Abina woke up early and hurried to her best friend Chika's house. Chika was the only person Abina trusted with her secret. "Chika, I need your help," Abina whispered urgently. "What is it this time?" Chika asked, rolling her eyes. "You're always getting into trouble." "I'm serious. I know where Musa's body is buried, and I need you to help me find it." Chika's mouth fell open. "Wait, are you still talking to that ghost?" "Abina, this is dangerous." "I know, but I can't let Pastor Ko get away with this. Please, Chika. I can't do it alone." After much hesitation, Chika agreed. The two girls decided to sneak out that night to search the forest. The moonlight filtered through the trees as Abina and Chika crept through the forest. Crickets chirped, and the occasional hoot of an owl made Chika jump. "Are you sure about this, Abina?" Chika whispered, clutching a stick. "Positive," Abina replied, leading the way. Musa said it's near the big Irako tree. When they reached the towering tree, Abina stopped. "This is it." Chika shivered. "I don't see anything." "Look around. There has to be something here," Abina said, scanning the ground. Suddenly, Chika gasped. "Abina, over here." Abina rushed over to see Chika pointing at a spot where the ground looked disturbed. The soil was uneven, as if someone had tried to hide something. "This must be it," Abina whispered. Using sticks and their bare hands, the girls began to dig. After what felt like hours, they uncovered something wrapped in cloth. Abina's heart raced as she pulled it out. Inside was a skeleton, Musa's remains. The next day, Abina and Chika went straight to the village square with their discovery. Abina stood on a wooden box to get everyone's attention. "Listen to me. We found Musa's body in the forest, near the Irako tree." The villagers murmured in disbelief. "What is this nonsense?" a man shouted. "It's true," Chika added. "We saw it with our own eyes." The crowd grew silent as Pastor Ko emerged. His expression calm but his eyes cold. "What is this disturbance?" he asked in his commanding voice. "Pastor," Abina said boldly, "we know the truth. You eliminated Malam Musa and stole his lottery ticket." Gasps erupted from the crowd. The pastor's face darkened. "How dare you accuse me, you little child," he thundered. "This is the work of the devil trying to divide us. I demand proof." Abina held her ground. "We found Musa's remains, and he told me everything. You were the only one he trusted, and you betrayed him." The crowd turned to each other, whispering. The pastor laughed nervously. "This is absurd. She's just a child. Are we really going to believe her over a man of God?" But before anyone could respond, a cold wind swept through the square. Musa's ghost appeared, visible to everyone for the first time. His glowing figure hovered above the ground, and his voice rang out. "Ko, your lies have come to an end." The pastor's secret revealed. The villagers screamed and scattered, but Pastor Ko froze, his face pale. "Musa, it's not what you think," the pastor stammered. "Enough," the ghost roared. "You stole my life, my future, and my peace. And now you steal from the people who trust you." The villagers turned back, their fear replaced by anger. "Is this true?" an elder demanded. "Pastor, did you eliminate Musa?" Pastor Ko tried to deny it, but the ghost began to glow brighter. Suddenly, strange marks appeared on the pastor's arms, symbols of the cult he belonged to. "The pastor is in a cult," someone shouted. Chaos erupted as the villagers confronted the pastor. But Abina wasn't done yet. She turned to Musa. "You said the cult was blocking you. How can we stop them?" Musa looked at Abina. His eyes filled with gratitude. "There is only one way," he said. "We must destroy the charm they used to trap me. It's hidden in the pastor's house." Bina nodded. "Then let's finish this."
As the villagers surrounded Pastor Ko, demanding answers, Abina pulled Chica aside. "We need to find that charm," Avena whispered. Chica's eyes widened. "Are you crazy? His house is guarded by his followers. If they catch us, we're finished." "We don't have a choice," Abina said firmly. "If we don't destroy the charm, Musa will never be free, and the pastor will keep deceiving everyone." Chica hesitated but finally nodded. "Fine, but if I die, I'll haunt you myself." Abina grinned despite the tension. "Deal." That night, Abina and Chica snuck out of their homes and made their way to Pastor Ko's mansion. Unlike most houses in Agaga, his was large and surrounded by a high fence. The pastor had always claimed it was a blessing from God, but now the villagers knew better. "How do we get in?" Chica whispered, peering through the gate. Abina pointed to a corner of the fence where it would look old and weak. "We climb." The girls scrambled over the fence and dropped quietly into the compound. The house loomed before them, its windows glowing faintly in the moonlight. Where would he hide the charm? Chica asked. Abina thought for a moment. Somewhere secret. Maybe his prayer room. The two crept around the house, searching for a way in. Finally, they found an open window and climbed inside. The house was eerily silent, and every creak of the floorboards made their hearts race. "Let's hurry," Chica whispered. The hidden room. After searching several rooms, they found a small door at the end of a hallway. It was locked, but Abina noticed scratches around the keyhole, as if it had been opened and closed often. "This has to be it," she said. Chica pulled a hairpin from her pocket. "I saw this in a movie once," she said, kneeling to pick the lock. Abina watched nervously as Chica fumbled with the pin. After what felt like an eternity, there was a soft click, and the door swung open. Inside was a dimly lit room filled with strange items: black candles, animal bones, and jars of mysterious liquids. On a small altar in the center of the room was a carved wooden box. "That must be it," Abina whispered, pointing to the box. Chica hesitated. "What if it's trapped?" "We have to try," Abina said, stepping forward. She lifted the box carefully and opened it. Inside was a small, dark amulet with strange symbols carved into it. The air seemed to grow colder as she touched it. "This is it," Abina said, her voice trembling. Suddenly, they heard footsteps in the hallway. "Someone's coming," Chica hissed. Abina stuffed the amulet into her pocket, and the girls hid behind a large cabinet. The door creaked open, and they saw a shadowy figure step into the room. It was one of Pastor Ko's cult members, a man with a scar across his face. He looked around, muttering to himself, "Who left this door open?" Abina held her breath, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure he could hear it. After a few tense moments, the man left, locking the door behind him. "We're trapped," Chica whispered, panicking. "No, we're not," Abina said, pulling the amulet from her pocket. "Musa said this thing is connected to his power. Maybe we can use it." She held the amulet tightly and whispered, "Musa, can you hear me?" The air grew colder, and a faint glow appeared in the room. Musa's ghost materialized before them. "Abina," he said, his voice soft but urgent, "you've done well to find the charm. Now, break it." "How?" Abina asked. "Smash it against the altar," the ghost said. Abina hesitated. The amulet pulsed in her hand, as if it were alive. She raised it above her head and slammed it down on the altar. The amulet shattered, releasing a burst of cold, white light. The walls of the room seemed to shake, and a low, guttural scream echoed through the house. The tables turned. Back at the village square, Pastor Ko was leading a prayer session, trying to calm the angry crowd. But suddenly he stumbled, clutching his chest. "No," he whispered, his face twisting in fear. "The charm, it's broken." Before the villagers could react, Musa's ghost appeared in the square, glowing brighter than ever. This time he wasn't alone. Several other spirits, bound by the cult's dark magic, appeared beside him. The villagers screamed and tried to flee, but Musa raised a hand. "Do not fear," he said. "We are not here to harm you. Only the guilty will pay." The spirits turned their gaze to Pastor Ko, who fell to his knees trembling. "Please," he begged, "have mercy." But Musa's voice was firm. "You showed no mercy to me. You stole my life and betrayed your people. Now, your time has come." The spirits surrounded Pastor Ko, their glowing forms growing brighter and brighter until he disappeared in a blinding flash of light. When it faded, the pastor was gone. The villagers stood in stunned silence. Musa turned to them, his expression softening. "Thank you, Abina," he said. "Because of you, I can finally rest." Abina stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Will we ever see you again?" Musa shook his head. "No, my time here is over. But I will never forget your kindness." With that, the ghost faded into the night, and the air in Agaga grew still and peaceful. Though Pastor Ko was gone, Abina knew the story wasn't over. What about the other cult members? And what secrets might still be hidden in the forest? She turned to Chica and said, "We're not done yet." Chica groaned. "I was afraid you'd say that."
The next morning, the entire village was abuzz. Word had spread about how Pastor Ko had been exposed, and many villagers couldn't believe the man they had trusted for so long was behind such evil deeds. In the middle of the commotion, Abina and Chica sat on a fallen log near the river, away from the crowd. Chica chewed on a piece of sugarcane, her face still pale from the events of the previous night. "Abina, I don't know how you're still calm," Chica said, shaking her head. "We just faced a ghost, a pastor in a cult, and who knows what else. I'm ready to stay in my house forever." Abina smiled faintly. "We freed Musa, but something doesn't feel right, Chica. He said there were others. What about the cult members? Do you think they'll just sit back now that their leader is gone?" Chica stopped chewing. "You mean, they might come after us?" Abina nodded. "I don't think Pastor Ko was the only problem. If there's more of them, they'll try to continue what he started. We need to find out who they are." That evening, as Abina prepared to sleep, a chill filled her room. The hairs on her arms stood up, and she turned to see Musa's ghost standing by her window. "Musa," Abina whispered, startled but not afraid. "I thought you left for good." "I was about to," the ghost said, his voice heavy with concern. "But I couldn't rest without warning you. Pastor Ko's cult is angry. They know what you've done, and they'll stop at nothing to protect their secrets." Abina swallowed hard. "How many of them are there?" "They are 5, Musa replied. "They meet in secret, deep in the forest, and they are planning something dangerous. They know you and Chica are the ones who destroyed the charm. You must be careful." Abina clenched her fists. "We can't let them hurt anyone else. What should we do? Musa looked at her with a mixture of pride and sadness. You're brave, Abina. But this is not a battle for children. Promise me you'll stay safe. Abina frowned. But we've come this far. If we don't stop them, who will? Musa sighed. There is one way. The cult's power comes from an ancient relic they keep hidden. If you can find it and destroy it, their influence will crumble. But it will be dangerous. Abina nodded, determination in her eyes. I'll do it. The ghost gave her a small smile. You're stronger than I ever was. Be careful, Abina. With that, he vanished into the night. The next day, Abina told Chica about Musa's warning. I knew it, Chica said, pacing nervously. I knew this wasn't over. And now we're supposed to find some ancient relic? How are we going to do that? We start by figuring out who the other cult members are, Abina said. If we can figure out where they meet, we might find the relic. Chica groaned. You make it sound so easy. But fine. Where do we start? Abina thought for a moment. Do you remember that man with the scar who almost caught us in Pastor Keo's house? He might be one of them. Chica's eyes widened. You're right. I've seen him around the market before. His name is Igui. He always acts strange, like he's hiding something. We'll follow him, Abina said. Following Igui. Later that evening, Abina and Chica spotted Igui near the market, carrying a bag of goods. He was muttering to himself and glancing over his shoulder. Look at him, Chica whispered. He's definitely up to something. Quiet, Abina said, tugging Chica behind a stack of yam baskets. Let's follow him. They trailed Igui as he left the market and walked toward the outskirts of the village. The sun was setting, and the shadows grew longer, making it harder to keep him in sight. Where is he going? Chica whispered nervously. He's heading to the forest, Abina replied. They followed him to a narrow path that led deep into the woods. The air grew colder, and the sounds of the village faded behind them. Finally, Igui stopped in a clearing where 4 other men were waiting. Abina and Chica crouched behind a bush, their hearts pounding. That's them, Abina whispered. The other cult members. The men began speaking in hushed tones, but Abina and Chica could just make out their words. The charm is destroyed, one of the men said angrily. Keo is gone. What do we do now? We still have the relic, Igui replied. As long as we protect it, our power remains. But those girls are a problem. We need to deal with them before they cause more trouble. Chica's eyes widened, and she clutched Abina's arm. They're talking about us. Hush, Abina whispered. Another man spoke. We'll meet tomorrow night at the shrine to strengthen the relic's power. The girls won't be able to touch us then. The men dispersed, leaving the clearing one by one. Abina and Chica stayed hidden until they were sure the coast was clear, preparing for the final battle. As they walked back to the village, Chica broke the silence. Abina, this is insane. They're planning something big. We can't face them alone. I know, Abina said, her mind racing. But we don't have a choice. If they strengthen the relic, it'll be even harder to stop them. We have to act tomorrow night. Chica sighed. I can't believe I let you drag me into this. What's the plan? We'll find the shrine, Abina said. And we'll destroy the relic before they can use it. Chica hesitated. What if we fail? Abina looked at her friend, her expression serious. We won't.
The following morning, Abina and Chica sat beneath the shade of a baobab tree, poring over their plan. Abina had drawn a crude map of the forest in the dirt, marking the path they had followed the night before. We'll have to go deeper into the forest to find the shrine, Abina said, pointing to the direction where the cultists had vanished. It won't be easy, Chica groaned, chewing on a stick of roasted corn. I can't believe we're doing this. What if we don't even find it? And what if they catch us? We will find it, Abina said firmly. Musa said the relic is the source of their power. If we destroy it, they'll have nothing. Chica shook her head. I just hope I survive this to eat another roasted yam. Abina couldn't help but laugh, but her smile faded as she stared at the forest in the distance. Deep down, She knew the danger ahead was greater than anything they had faced before. Before setting out, Abina decided to visit Mama Ikeen, the village herbalist. Mama Ikeen was known for her wisdom and knowledge of the supernatural. If anyone could give them guidance, it was her. The old woman's hut was on the edge of the village, surrounded by herbs and flowers. Abina and Chica entered cautiously, the scent of dried leaves and incense filling the air. Mama Ikeen? Abina called softly. The old woman appeared from behind a curtain, her piercing eyes studying the girls. Abina, Chica, what brings you to my hut so early? You look troubled. Abina hesitated, then explained everything. The cult, the relic, and their plan to destroy it. Mama Ikeen listened in silence, her face unreadable. When Abina finished, the old woman nodded slowly. I always knew there was darkness in K.O.'s heart, but I didn't realize it had spread so far. Can you help us, Mama? Abina asked. Mama Ikeen walked to a shelf and pulled down a small wooden box. She opened it to reveal several charms and talismans. She picked up a small red amulet and handed it to Abina. This will protect you from their magic, Mama Ikeen said. But be warned, your courage will be tested. The relic you seek is old and powerful. It won't be destroyed easily. Abina nodded, clutching the amulet tightly. Thank you, Mama. Chica eyed the old woman nervously. Do you think we'll survive this? Mama Ikeen gave a small smile. You have more strength than you know, Chica. Trust yourselves and you'll find a way. Into the forest. That evening, Abina and Chica set out for the forest, armed with Mama Ikeen's amulet and their determination. The villagers watched them go, whispering among themselves. Some offered prayers, while others shook their heads in disbelief. The forest was darker than before, the trees casting eerie shadows under the moonlight. The girls followed the path they had marked earlier, their footsteps crunching softly on the dry leaves. After what felt like hours, they came across a large clearing. In the center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and strange carvings. Around it were 5 torches, their flames casting flickering light on the surrounding trees. This must be it, Abina whispered. But where's the relic? Chica asked, glancing around nervously. Abina pointed to a small box on the altar, glowing faintly. There, as they approached, a sudden gust of wind blew through the clearing, extinguishing the torches. The girls froze as the shadows seemed to come alive. Did you really think you could sneak in here unnoticed? A deep voice boomed. From the darkness, the 5 cult members stepped forward, their faces twisted with anger. Igui stood at the front, holding a staff carved with strange symbols. We've been expecting you, Igui said, his voice dripping with malice. You should have stayed out of this, little girls. Abina stepped forward, holding up Mama Ikeen's amulet. We're not afraid of you. Your time is over. Igui laughed, a cold, hollow sound. You think that trinket will protect you? You don't understand the power you're facing. The cult members began to chant, their voices low and menacing. The air grew heavy, and the ground beneath the girls' feet seemed to tremble. Chica grabbed Abina's arm. Abina, what do we do? Destroy the relic. Abina shouted. She sprinted toward the altar, but one of the cultists raised his hand, and a wall of fire erupted in front of her. Abina stumbled back, shielding her face. Foolish child, Igui sneered. You can't win. Just as all seemed lost, a blinding light filled the clearing. The chanting stopped, and the cult members turned in shock as Moose's ghost appeared, glowing brighter than ever. You will not harm them, the ghost said, his voice echoing like thunder. Igui's face twisted in rage. You're supposed to be gone. How are you still here? Musa raised his hand, and the fire blocking Abina's path disappeared. Your dark magic cannot hold me anymore. Your time of terror is over. The cultists tried to attack, but Musa's glow intensified, forcing them back. Now! Abina destroyed a relic. Abina didn't hesitate. She ran to the altar and grabbed the glowing box. It pulsed in her hands, almost as if it were alive. Summoning all her strength, she smashed it against the stone altar. The box shattered, and a wave of energy burst from it, knocking everyone to the ground. The cultists screamed as their symbols faded from their skin, their power gone. The aftermath. When the light faded, the cultists lay unconscious, and the clearing was silent. Musa turned to Abina, his expression calm. "You've done it, Abina. The village is free." Abina nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Will you leave now?" The ghost smiled. "Yes, my work here is done. Thank you, Abina. You've given me peace." With that, Musa faded into the night, leaving Abina and Chica alone in the clearing. Chica let out a shaky laugh. "Remind me never to doubt you again." Abina smiled faintly, but her mind was already racing. The cult was defeated, but what other secrets might still lurk in the shadows of Agaga village?